In my previous video, I went out and caught a couple of shots of almost full moon, 90%, I guess. Clouds came in and shut that project down, but we did get a couple of shots, and I promised that I would make a video showing how to use Nikon's NX Studio to process the raw images. So that's what we're going to do today. First, you'll need to download NX Studio from Nikon's website, which, by the way, it's free. Did I mention it's free? Yes, it's absolutely free. You can process raw images, as your JPEG images from your Nikon camera. You can process videos from your Nikon camera. So we'll open NX Studio. And let's find our files. Okay, so there's the two shots that we got, and they're saved both in RAW and in JPEG fine compression. So there's 4 images there. A quick rundown of NX Studio. Up here at the top, you've got for editing videos, you can open up their video editor, which is pretty basic, but you can do process 4K videos. And your export button, and we'll use that in a minute. So let's grab a raw shot. Now, if you recall, when you shoot in RAW with the Nikon Coolpix A1000, you can no longer utilize the digital zoom. So this picture is the lens is zoomed out to 840 millimeters equivalent, 35 millimeter equivalent. We're a long ways from filling the frame. So I like to crop in first. So on the right-hand side, you've got most of your tools. Let's see if we crop tool to crop images. Well, there it is, right at the top. Let's click on that, and that scrolls us down automatically to the crop tool. Free crop. I'm going to change that to custom, and I've already got it plugged in to 1600 by 1200. I'm going to tighten that up a bit. like that. And then once I get that uh, where I want it, then we'll click on the proceed button, and that will complete the crop. Oh, one other thing. I make a lot of mistakes. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's true. And I'm just starting to learn how to use this program. For safety's sake, I always make a copy of my file before I work on it, so that I'm working on the copy. That way, if if I screw up, and I do that all the time, I'm often accidentally saving my work onto my uh, original file, and then I've lost my original file. NX Studio, it does things a little different, and I don't have an understanding of 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 how this all operates. It saves all of your changes in a separate file. Uh, uh, so I guess it can be you can revert back to the original, but I don't understand how to do that. So for simplicity's sake, I'm working with a copy, so I can always uh, go back and access my original uh, image, and start anew if I want. So okay, um, if you recall, we were shooting in manual, and we were using the Looney 11 rule of thumb as a starting point, where for shooting the full moon, you shoot at, according to the rule of thumb, you shoot at f11 and the reciprocal of your ISO. The A1000 doesn't stop down to f11, it only goes to f8, which is twice the illumination of f11. So we need to cut our uh, shutter speed in half. So that would be 1/200th of a second at ISO 100 and f8. So, uh, and that's just a starting point. Now you see, our image uh, is fairly dark. Um, One of the problems is that it's not a full moon yet. So we don't have the full illumination of a full moon. So uh, that's a problem. Another problem is, um, and this was surprising, uh, looking at the video when I was taking this image, you can clearly see in the viewfinder or the view screen that uh, at the time of the shutter release, there was some uh, clearly visible cloud cover uh, between me and the moon. You can't see that in the image, uh, and we, in spite of that thin uh, layer of clouds, we still got a usable image, which I was surprised. Um, but that probably cuts down on the illumination too. So we're going to need to adjust the picture for that. So back over here on the right hand side, we'll scroll up to the top so we can start at the top and work our way down. Let's try uh, exposure compensation and see what we can achieve there. Now you can click on this drop down menu and you can choose from up to plus or minus 1 EV. We'll give it 1 EV, see what happens. That's an improvement there. But I think we'll try 2 EV. See how that looks. I like that much better. And I don't think I really need to do much more than that. That I think that looks good. Now, we do have some sharpness adjustment available to us. And I'm going to click on Unsharp Mask and scroll down here. And you've got 3 sliders for adjusting your unsharp mask. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that we can see what we're doing. I don't have any understanding of these controls, so I just play with them. There's no harm in that, right? Well, okay. For whatever it's worth, I'm going to leave it there, and you can play with uh, all these controls and edit it to your heart's delight. And now it's time to export the image. So up here on the upper right corner is the export button. Export as, you can choose JPEG, TIFF. I like to export my images as a TIFF file because TIFF is a lossless format, whereas JPEG is what they call a lossy format, is compressed, and so you lose a, a little bit of information in the compression and decompression process. And each time you save it and then open it and save it again, each time you go through that process, it degrades the image. So I wait until I'm completely done with my image and then save it as a JPEG. So I'm going to save it as a 16-bit TIFF. And you can, you have naming options down here where you want to save it to, and we'll do export. And then down here, you've got a bar showing the progress of your export. And there it is. There's our image. So we'll close it, and we're done. And that wasn't difficult at all. We'll open up. It's in moonshots, right? Yeah. Okay, now, and I explained this in the previous video. When you shoot in RAW, have your images saved in RAW. Windows doesn't create a thumbnail image for RAW files. That's why I like to set my camera to save in RAW plus fine JPEG. That way I've got a JPEG version, and when I open up File Explorer on Windows, it gives me a thumbnail for the JPEG version. And so I know which image the picture is. The JPEG and the NRW RAW file have the same name, just different extensions. And there it is. There's our image. And it's fairly adequate, don't you think? Okay, well, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll feel inspired to try shooting in RAW and processing with NX Studio. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to try. And there's lots of videos on YouTube explaining all the controls in NX Studio. And so give it a shot. By the way, just as a experiment and for information, I wanted to compare the file sizes for the different modes of saving images on my camera. So I took the exact same photo in the 3 different modes: JPEG normal compression, JPEG fine compression, and RAW. And here's the results of that. And as you can see, the RAW file is huge compared to the other 2 JPEGs. The RAW file is like 30 megabytes, and the JPEG files are under, well, they're way under that. So if you shoot in RAW, you're going to fill up your memory card much faster. And if you save all those images on your hard drive, you're going to fill up your hard drive quickly. So that's just for information, and here's a comparison of those file sizes that you can use as a cautionary tale. One final word about sharpening tools, I find that once I've gotten my image to where I like it, if I reduce whatever sharpening I've done by half, then I will have reduced the number of complaints that I get about sharpening too much by half. So with sharpening, less is more, as they say. So keep that in mind.